The story begins with a boy waking up in an unfamiliar room. As he slowly opens his eyes, he sees a woman looking down at him. At first, he assumes she is his mother, but he quickly realizes that can't be right because his mother is much older than this woman. Feeling confused, he looks down at his hands and is completely shocked to discover that he is now a baby. What makes the situation even stranger is that when he checks his status, all of his stats have returned to level 1, and he doesn't even have a name anymore. Suddenly, a tall man wearing armor enters the room. The woman respectfully refers to him as the king, and he steps closer to look at the baby. Seeing this man, the boy wonders if he is some kind of emperor or ruler of this land. Not long after, the baby is carried before a priest for a naming ceremony. During the ceremony, he is given the name Noah and is declared to be the 13th Imperial Prince. When Noah quickly checks his status, he sees that Imperial Prince has been added to his title, which confirms that he is the direct son of the emperor of this nation. After the naming ceremony is complete, the emperor asks the priest what Noah's affinity is. The priest replies that Noah's affinity is water, and that his assigned fief will be Almeria, a land where many members of the water clan reside. Hearing this, the emperor seems somewhat relieved. Setting that aside, he then asks the priest to reveal Noah's full stats. When the priest does so, everyone in the room is stunned. Every single one of Noah's stats is already maxed out, and his water affinity has reached SS rank, even though he was only born a few hours ago. Having stats like that means he has already awakened, and an awakening at such a young age is something unheard of. Because of this, everyone present concludes that they are witnessing the birth of an extraordinary talent. It is at this moment that Noah realizes he has been granted a new life and reincarnated as a noble. The empire he now lives in is known as the Mir's Empire, a powerful nation of warriors nestled within a rugged mountain range. Its capital is located on an open plain, and the empire is currently enjoying a golden age where wealth continues to generate even more wealth, allowing a rich and vibrant culture to flourish. The emperor of this land is the father of more than 10 sons, all of whom are known as the imperial princes. These princes are widely adored by the people and are regarded as the most prestigious nobles in the empire. 6 years after Noah's reincarnation, he comes to realize something important about his abilities. To others, his stats appear as incredibly high individual values, but in reality, those numbers are high only because they are being boosted by his subordinates. For example, his S-rank water skill comes entirely from Almeria, the fief he was granted at birth, while many of his other stat bonuses come from the maids who serve him. In other words, Noah grows stronger the more subordinates he has. On top of that, he begins to suspect that his level has no upper limit and can continue increasing endlessly. Once the maids finish dressing him, they send him downstairs. After he leaves, the maids talk among themselves and admit how remarkable he is. Normally, boys his age would be full of mischief and constantly causing trouble, but Noah is different. He is calm, composed, and unusually mature for his age. Evelyn, the beautiful maid who specializes in hospitality, approaches Noah while he is having lunch and announces that both the crown prince and the fourth prince have come to visit him. She adds that they said he could take his time finishing his meal before going to meet them. However, Noah knows exactly who the crown prince is and understands that he cannot afford to keep someone of that status waiting. He immediately asks the maids to take him to them. Noah goes to greet his elder brothers, Albert, who is the crown prince, and Henry, who is the fourth prince. After exchanging polite greetings, Albert tells Noah that they actually came to bring him a gift. At that moment, a frightened servant walks into the room carrying a sword case. A dark and ominous aura slowly leaks out from it, filling the air with tension. After it is set down, Albert orders the servant to open the case. The moment it opens, Noah suddenly feels a chill run down his spine as he begins to hear the cries of soldiers begging Albert to save their lives. The voices sound desperate and full of fear, and Noah can immediately tell that what he just heard was not a hallucination. Albert then tells Noah to pick up the sword. Although Noah really doesn't want to, he realizes that this is a gift from the crown prince, so refusing it isn't an option. Noah carefully picks up the sword, and while it feels a bit heavy at first, he soon manages to steady himself and find his balance. After that is done, Albert explains that the sword is known as Leviathan, a water element sword that is regarded as the strongest sword in the entire empire. Around 120 people have died simply trying to master it. Henry notices Noah looking a bit nervous after hearing that, so he tells him not to worry. He explains that anyone who is not meant to wield the sword is killed by its curse the moment they attempt to lift it. The fact that Noah was able to pick it up without any anything happening only proves that he is at least somewhat worthy of it. Albert then pats Noah on the back and walks out of the room, saying that this was a valuable demonstration. As Albert leaves, Noah can't believe that this bastard was testing him the entire time using something that could have easily killed him. However, he decides to keep those thoughts to himself because he knows that if he were caught saying something like that out loud, he would be dead on the spot. As the princes walk away, Henry asks Albert whether leaving Leviathan with Noah was really the best course of action, especially since the sword was extremely expensive. Albert replies that the sword is far better off in the hands of someone as brilliant as Noah. On top of that, he adds that it is precisely because Noah is so brilliant that he needs to experience what it feels like to be bitten by his own pet. Later that night, Noah notices that his mate, Zoe, seems unusually uneasy about something. He asks her what's wrong, but Zoe doesn't want to trouble him with her personal problems and tells him not to worry about it. Noah insists, and after some hesitation, Zoe finally opens up. She tells him that she would like to request some time off because her hometown was recently flooded, and the farm where she grew up was completely washed away. That farm was her mother's only source of income, so Zoe has been considering working in the red light district, since people told her she could sell herself for a very high price as someone who once served an imperial prince. Noah immediately tells her that there's no way he's going to allow that to happen. Instead, he offers to employ her mother at the mansion as the person in charge of opening the gates, and he promises to pay her handsomely. Zoe tries to point out that the salary he's offering for that position is far higher than what is normally paid. Noah then adds that there is also an unused house near the mansion, so Zoe and her mother can live there together. Upon hearing this, Zoe breaks down into tears and repeatedly thanks Noah for his kindness and generosity. However, deep down, Noah knows that he isn't doing this purely out of goodwill. Having a former servant working in the red light district would stain the name of the 13th imperial prince. Zoe is his servant, and as such, she will serve him for life. After this unexpected act of kindness, Noah is fairly certain that she will never betray that loyalty. After that, he calls the butler, Dylan, and tells him about how Zoe's hometown, Doso, got flooded by a disaster. Because of that situation, he tells Dylan to go over there and buy as much land in Doso as possible, because he knows that bandits would eventually arrive there to take advantage of the town during its time of weakness and chaos. He wants to secure and procure the land before that manages to happen, and before things get worse. Dylan is surprised by this order because even though Noah is still very young, he is able to handle a situation he has never personally experienced before with such sharp foresight and careful thinking. In reality, this exact kind of thing had already happened to Noah in his previous life, but of course he can't tell anyone about that fact, so he decides to stay quiet and say nothing. Dylan admits that it's a very good idea, but the real problem is how they are supposed to get the money needed to buy the land, because purchasing that much land would cost nothing less than several hundreds of thousands of Rian, which is the currency used in this empire. Noah realizes that he didn't really think that part through properly, so after thinking about it for a little while, he finally concludes that they will just have to sell the land they own south of the capital city. Dylan questions whether that's truly a good idea, because that land was a gift personally given to Noah by the king himself, and selling it without permission could even be considered a serious crime. However, Noah tells Dylan not to worry about the king's reproach or anger, because he will personally bear the full consequences of that decision. Noah says that this is what being a noble is all about, making sacrifices so that the lives of other people can become easier and safer. Dylan understands the meaning behind those words and thanks Noah for making such a decision, especially because he shares the same hometown as Zoe, so he feels deeply grateful from the bottom of his heart. The next day, Noah has liquidated the funds and is getting ready to buy as much land as he possibly could. He's now getting ready to go and inspect it in person, but that's when he receives an unexpected visit from his brother, Henry. Henry notices that Noah is taking the Leviathan sword along with him and immediately asks what that's about. Noah explains that he felt some kind of power coming from it a while ago, but hasn't felt anything since then, so he plans on testing it out while they are in Doso. That aside, Henry tells Noah that the Leviathan sword has a will of its own. Apparently, it only obeys the one person it recognizes as its true master. With that information, Noah immediately understands that he's going to need to earn its recognition somehow. The Leviathan sword is basically like a mad dog right now, and it needs someone strong enough to tame it. Henry tells Noah that he can take the sword along with him if he really must, but he should not use it unless the timing is right, or else it could end up killing him. After saying that warning, Henry simply turns around and leaves. Shortly after that, they arrive at Doso and see that the flood has completely turned the area into a desolate wasteland. From the looks of the destruction, they assume that most of the ruined homes also lost their land deeds in the flood, meaning they will have to buy the land based on the government office's official records instead. Dylan and Zoe are amazed that a child who is decades younger than both of them was able to deduce all of this just by taking one look at the situation. Noah tells them calmly that it's just simple logic. After that, Noah and Zoe begin surveying the land together until they notice food being distributed to a group of villagers by the Empire's caterers. Noah takes a bowl of the food and quickly realizes that it is terrible and even tastes somewhat spoiled. One of the villagers overhears Noah's comment and tells him that they really can't complain because they're lucky to be getting even this much food in the first place. Noah can't believe that the Empire would be serving such substandard food to its people during a disaster. Then all of a sudden, the local government official, Lord Garl, arrives on the scene to conduct an official inspection of the area. Garl knows very well that the food being given to the villagers is terrible, but he doesn't care because he isn't the one eating it. Noah can't stand watching this anymore, so he confronts Garl directly and accuses him of embezzling the funds meant for food rations. Noah says that instead of providing proper meals, Garl has been stealing the money and serving the villagers slop. Garl doesn't deny it at all. He openly admits that those at the top of the food chain deserve to eat first, and he and his men laugh about it. Seeing their attitude makes Noah furious. He warns Garl about the consequences of his crimes, but Garl doesn't appreciate a child talking back to him. He draws his sword and prepares to attack Noah. At that moment, the Leviathan sword flies out of its box on its own and hovers beside Noah. The sword begins to test him, pouring its power into his body to judge whether he is worthy. Parts of Noah's body start to darken, as if he's about to be consumed by the sword's curse. Just as it seems like he's going to lose, Noah feels a surge of adrenaline and willpower. He proves to Leviathan that he can endure its power, and after a brief struggle, the sword fully submits to him. Enraged, Garl moves to kill Noah, but Noah strikes first and uses Leviathan to cleanly cut off Garl's head. His lackeys, furious at seeing their leader killed, prepare to attack Noah as well. To intimidate them, Noah strikes the ground with Leviathan. The attack leaves behind a massive crater so deep that the bottom can't even be seen. Noah himself is shocked by the sheer power of the sword. Shortly after, Rowan, the knight captain assigned to Doso, arrives and is stunned by the scene. When he recognizes Noah as the 13th Imperial Prince, he immediately kneels. The others are confused until Rowan announces Noah's identity, causing everyone present to bow in fear and respect. Noah explains how Garl and his men were stealing from the villagers, which is why Garl was executed. He orders Rowan to ensure that the remaining corrupt officials receive proper punishment. Noah also commands that food distribution be restarted properly so the villagers can eat well. Overjoyed, the villagers praise Noah for saving them. Meanwhile, Albert receives a report that Noah successfully tamed the Leviathan sword. He smirks, realizing Noah may be far more useful than he expected. Later, Noah meets his father, expecting punishment for selling gifted land. Instead, the Emperor thanks him, explaining that Noah's actions prevented bandits from exploiting the flood. The Emperor is also pleased that Noah mastered Leviathan. When Noah's stats are checked again, his water skill has risen to triple-S rank due to the many subordinates he gained while helping Doso. Deeply impressed, the Emperor asks Noah to continue using his talents for the Empire, and Noah agrees. That was episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on screen.